Hello drag experts, it is me, your least favorite drag race content creator, Jer. I have been asked by a bunch of people to talk about some wish lists that I would have for future All-Star seasons in international franchises. Unfortunately, there's only two that I feel really confident in doing that for because I've actually seen the bulk of those seasons, and that's Canada's Drag Race, which I've already done an All-Stars video for. You could theoretically see it. You could theoretically see that somewhere down in the links if I remember to do that. Obviously, I watch all the mainline seasons, but the other one that I am most comfortable talking about is Drag Race UK. So I'm gonna be doing a cast wish list for a theoretical Drag Race UK All-Stars. Now I wanna preface, I think this is very unlikely that this will happen because we have UK versus the world, we have Canada versus the world, we have now global All-Stars, so it seems less likely that RuPaul is going to host an All-Stars variant. I see the most likely scenario of a UK All-Stars happening of like, do you remember when Heidi Klum didn't do Project Runway All-Stars? They gave it to Alyssa Milano. I see something like that where in some theoretical universe, someone really wanted to make that All-Stars happen and they asked like the Viv or Lawrence to come and do it and then they would be the host of that. I see something like that happening. But who knows? We could see a All-Stars scenario sometime in the near future. The fact that we are already at season 6 airing now and we have not had an All-Stars for UK makes me feel like it's not gonna happen because they seem to utilize those queens more for the Versus the World franchise. That being said, here's who I would ideally like to see in an All-Stars scenario for UK. From season 1, I would love to see Scaredy Cat. This was a really interesting character on Drag Race for the very first season. Having not really participated in the art of performing in drag very much, being the very first out bisexual candidate on the show, they had a really fun personality, they had a cool drag persona. Scaredy was a little rough around the edges, and I think they took a little break from drag and have recently come back. I think they kind of hinted that they might do an All-Stars, and so I think with them having taken a break and then coming back, I think that would lend for some interesting storylines on the show. Next from season 1, I would love to see Something Wong. Something was one of my favorites from that cast. I really enjoyed how conceptual she was and how she was able to translate some of those big brain ideas to the main stage. I loved Something's personality. From their talking heads, I thought they were gonna be a finalist. They were just that charismatic. I think all of these years later, it would be really cool to see them come back and show what they've got to offer. Finally, from season 1, I would love to see Crystal. They were the very first ever fuzzy drag queen in the franchise, followed by Madame Madness in Holland. They had a really fascinating aesthetic of blending both masculine and feminine concepts together. It was really the first time that we had seen that on Drag Race, and it was celebrated. Rue and Michelle still didn't get the armpit hair, but they didn't hate it like they hated when Alaska got into boy drag. I think Crystal had all the pieces, but at the time Rue was looking for someone that was a little more polished and media ready, kind of in the same way that Rue was looking for someone like BB in season 1 of the mainline series and not someone like Nina. Nina was just a little bit too on the fringes that maybe people weren't ready. And when you're the first ship out of port, you want to make sure that the expectations are sort of tailoring to Bob and Betty Beer Can. So I just don't think that Crystal was on Rue's sightlines, but I think that Crystal's drag would be celebrated now. Plus, with everything that's happened to them politically, they have so much to share with us as an audience, and I would love to see them back. From season 2, controversially, I would really love to see Ellie Diamond. This queen was young when she was originally on the show. I think 21, she broke the mold of the young queen archetype. A lot of young queens with the stamped mug don't have a lot of personality, they don't have a lot of challenge presence, and they sort of flub at every opportunity that they could. But Ellie didn't lack personality. Ellie had it in spades. Ellie just didn't quite know how to connect all the pieces together on the show. Plus with someone like Lawrence Chaney there eclipsing everything that she did because Lawrence is just so big in presence that you can't not pay attention to her. Ellie didn't stand out in the way that maybe she could have in a season like season 3 or season 4. Ellie's got a strong visual presence. She's got a strong aesthetic clothing wise. She's a great candidate to come back and show that she knows how to do it now that she knows how Drag Race actually works. Next from season 2, I would love to see Atina Mandela. Atina was a main player that season, at least for the first couple episodes, until her shocking elimination. I thought it was odd then that we removed such a major player from the game. I think Atina has a lot of grit to her drag, and I would love to see that come back and be celebrated. Finally, from season 2, I would love to see Aora. A lot of people really want to see Tace, and I considered putting Tace and Aora on the same season, but their storyline was one that I felt got really exploited in season 2, and I just wouldn't want to see them together on a series again, in the same way that I don't think Yara and Alexis should ever be together on a series. They're just too close, their storylines get muddled with each other, and producers end up pushing that when it doesn't need to be pushed. Plus, Ahora's got some storyline with Ellie from that roast challenge, and even though that was so many years ago, Drag Race loves to reference back to old things, and there could be some natural friction in the room just from that season. Or it could be an Alyssa and Coco situation where they've moved past it, they address it really quick, and then we as an audience get a little more resolve for that storyline. Because at the end of the day, Drag Race is a TV show before it's a competition. Aora has such a strong visual presence on the runway, has a really refined brand, and I would love to see that again. From season 3, I personally would like to see Ella Day. This is one of my favorites from that cast, and I'm gonna be so honest, season 3 was one that I kind of skipped. I watched the first few episodes. I was not impressed by the format of the show. Something felt a little bit off. And I was not enjoying the general energy and execution of that season. For me, Ella's the only one who stood out. And Ella's the only one that I remember anything about. And therefore, I would like to see her come back so that we could get more. In the same way that I think people have wanted to see a lot of the season 7 cast because that season was sort of lackluster, so let's see what made those people special in maybe a not so good season. For me, Ella is a standout in an unmemorable season, and I would like to see what they would do all these years later. From season 4, my very top pick is Cheddar. And while I worry that maybe they will steamroll the competition like Jimbo did in All Stars 8, I think that Cheddar is able to adjust their momentum so that they wouldn't just overpower everyone in the room. They have a really good way of temperature checking. And we saw that in season 4 that they tempered their star power enough so that others could shine but that they could still be the shiniest diamond in the bunch. Cheddar's one of those people who deserved the crown so badly that first time. And while I loved Danny, I loved Cheddar just this much more because Cheddar inspired a lot of my drag when I was still on the scene. Cheddar has inspired so many people that I started in the clubs with that looked at their makeup and their concepts and their execution and really wanted to strive to do that as well. Their brand aesthetic needs to be perceived on TV again, and so I would love to see them. Next from season 4, I would definitely love to see Black Peppa. This was a queen who appealed to not only RuPaul, but also to audiences. I remember the internet really loved them their first time around. And for me, that's kind of a special skill. To be able to appeal to RuPaul, who's got a very specific drag sensibility of what she gravitates to, and for that queen to appeal to the camera and the audiences isn't always something that connects to each other. Peppa comes off so congenial and likable, and that's why I would like to see them again. Finally, from season 4, I would love to see Lefil. Now, I know this is a performer that we just saw on Canada versus the World 2. I initially was a little bit worried about Lefil being there, purely because Alexis and Eureka and Kennedy were there, and I thought Lefil's gonna get steamrolled by these performers, and they did. I think in a group of people that maybe are more like-minded and have similar drag, like if Canada versus the World 2 just had Cheryl archetypes and just had La Kahena types and just Lefil types, I don't think it would have been as egregious. For me, Lefil's run was comparable to someone like Naisha or Monica going against Candy and Jimbo. And I say that while putting Lefil in a season with Black Peppa and with Cheddar Gorgeous. But I think with so many other people that do similar drag to what Lefil is doing that I've already wishlisted here, I don't think it would be as egregious as in Canada. What I really love about Lefil is that they explore outside of the binary of femme drag in the same way that Cheddar and Crystal both do, so it enhances that lane of drag just a little bit more. I think Lefil is inventive, I think Lefil is funny, I think they have really great concepts for the runway, and I want to see them again. Then from season 5, I want to see Cara. This is one of my personal favorites from that season, and I gotta be honest, I was devastated when Cara got eliminated. Cara is gorgeous and has such a fantastic look about her. I think she blends her roots in Georgia with London drag flawlessly. And I mean, she could pretty much do anything. She would definitely storm this season alongside Black Peppa and Cheddar. And I would totally anticipate that Cara would make top 3 or top 4. And if anyone deserves an opportunity to go back to an all-star scenario, it's her. And then finally from season 5, I would like to see Tamara Thomas. I was totally team Tamara, hands down, from episode 1. I really love Tamara's image of being this high femme, high glam, beautiful womana character, but then they're just doofy. And Tamara doesn't take herself too seriously. She's just silly and camp and has just a really good gay time, and I loved that about them. We need people on an all-star season who don't take themselves too seriously, and I think that Tamara would accomplish that. And with that, that has been my wish list for Drag Race UK All-Stars. Who do you want to see in an all-star scenario? Let me know in the comments below, and if you would like to check out my Canada's Drag Race All-Star wish list, that should be somewhere down there. See you on the flip! Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye!